This morning I want to muse a little bit about a post from another Facebook friend the other day, and in it they expressed the concern um, for accountability. They expressed that they always want to be surrounded by people that will hold them accountable, so as to not fall into pride. I can certainly understand that sentiment. It's a Christian sentiment, something that we were conditioned into through scripture. But now, in the awareness I have today, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that anymore. I'm not saying that you can't do it. It just doesn't fit with my soul expansion. The more conscious we become, the more unaccountable we can be, because we are very much attuned to the energies within us. And this, speaking to this underlying desire for accountability, is in a sense a subconscious distrust of ourselves. We are afraid of being prideful, falling into pride and unsavory behavior. But that fear is also something we have to overcome. That distrust of ourselves is something we will eventually have to overcome, and we can't do it by subjecting ourselves to the corrections of our friends, caring friends, because they might not understand what your soul is meant to learn. So even as much as we fear the manifestation of pride, you have to remember, I just used the word fear. We fear the manifestation of pride in our life. It is these unconscious fears, subconscious fears we have to work at. And how do we do that? Essentially, this is on a subconscious level now. In your soul, you have to give yourself the permission to experience the energy of pride so that you can become conscious of it. You're actually experiencing it as an observer so that you can attune to the energy and frequency of pride. And when you do that, when you give yourself the permission without the judgment, without the condemnation, you are tuning you're getting the imprint of that frequency, and you're attuning yourself to that pride frequency, what that feels like in your body. And as you allow that, you will become more energy sensitive, and you can self-regulate innately without having to rely on a support support system that will only encourage conformity, outward conformity in you, and will just keep you performing on your best behavior, which is externally gauged and guided. But you want to become internally guided by your energy, so you don't have to have these accountability partners that keep you conformed to acceptable behavior. Do you know what I'm saying here? Do you understand? So if you have the fear of condemnation and judgment for conducting yourself in a prideful manner, it's not people correcting you that you need, because that's external correction. You want to correct your energy vibration on the inside, and you do that by resolving any resistance or conflict that you have, that you feel toward the word pride. Because we have been conditioned with a frequency surrounding the word pride. It's negative to us. So what we need to do is resolve the resistance we feel toward the word, and that calls for having the permission to manifest that, as I said before, to become attuned. And you will then self-regulate within your own energies from inside, and don't need the accountability group to do it for you. I hope this makes sense, and there is no pressure. The point of the soul journey is to become free of all external guides and guidelines and limitations that are imposed on you, so that you will become that sovereign, self-governed soul. That's the goal, at least in the way I understand it. I want to add, as the final closing here, pride. We have to go to the root of why pride shows up in our life. It's directly related to the insecurities we feel in our soul, in our subconscious, in our psyche. And because of this insecurity, because of this insecurity in our subconscious, a subconscious or unconscious reaction takes place. And that is, our ego will compensate for the lack of trust, the lack of confidence in ourselves, and inflate that insecurity, and that then shows up as prideful. It's an energy that feels completely inorganic. It's because it is inorganic. It's an inflation, an inflation of ego to compensate for the lack that we feel in our soul, the inadequacy, the insecurity. That's how pride shows up. The more you do the inner work and heal these unaligned places in you, the insecurity, the less pride will show up in your life. It'll be confidence, not pride, which is quite different.